This is a wild Asian forest scorpion. I filmed this one myself in the jungles of Phuket, Thailand while I was out herping. This is how they look under normal headlights. Scorpions glow under UV light due to a substance in their exoskeleton called the hyaline layer, giving them a fluorescent shine. Asian forest scorpions are mildly venomous but not considered dangerous to humans. Their weak venom makes them a great beginner scorpion. Seeing a wild one got me really excited to have one on my own, so I got one. And in this video, I'm making my own scorpion a home. It's the same species, but mine is just a baby, or Scorpling as they're called when they're tiny. Don't be fooled though, this one is just as self-sufficient as its relative in Phuket. As you can see, it can strike a defensive pose even shortly after leaving its mother's back. I'm so excited to get going with this build and follow this strange little creature into adulthood. Just look at how it moves. It looks so well adapted to the life of a tiny predator, don't you think? Okay, time to get going with the build. I came across this small top opening terrarium at a reptile expo in Sweden, and I think it will be a great home for my new scorpion. Let's unbox it. Now, this is a clean looking enclosure, if you ask me. With visibility from all four sides, there's an opportunity to create something really cool here, I think. Door and ventilation is all up top, but since the scorpion will be very close to the top at all times, I'm not worried about the lack of cross ventilation here. I begin by removing the lid completely to make scaping easier. It is hooked to both back corners, making it very stable when closed. The substrate mix I'm using consists of worm castings, sphagnum moss, activated carbon, reptibark, and sand. I'm looking for a fluffy consistency that helps the scorpion dig tunnels that won't collapse. Another important factor here is aeration, since I won't be using a drainage layer. I chose not to have a drainage layer to keep a deep substrate layer for the scorpion as it will want to burrow. I'm throwing in a lot of substrate with a deeper layer in the back. The slope creates a level of depth for the viewer, while at the same time creating an opportunity for the scorpion to dig deeper down. I will make two hides using this cork round. My thinking is that this one will have a light straight on it, creating a bit of heat on top of the hide, while the other one will be in a cooler part of the enclosure. Giving your animal options to choose from is very important for their well-being and enrichment. Here we go, hardscape is done, but so far it still looks a bit boring, don't you agree? There's only one thing that fixes that. Time for the plants. Selaginella grows in the native range of this species, making it a perfect fit. I also really enjoy the blue iridescent shine of this plant. Absolutely stunning, don't you think? I rip portions of the plant out of its pots, roots and all. For a closed terrarium I would take rootless cuttings, but here I want quick acclimation. I push them into the soil, and for the first few weeks I will have to stay on top of misting them down, so they don't dry out. Once they're used to their new settings, they will be a bit hardier again. I don't really plan the placement, other than trying to keep low growing plants in the front of the enclosure for better visibility. Next up is the moss. I'm using hypnum moss and various aquatic mosses like Christmas moss and flame moss. Moss is a great way to keep a high humidity level in a tank, which is also true for live plants in general. These mosses are all taken from bioactive terrariums, so if you have a keen eye, you might already have spotted some hitchhikers. I don't worry about them too much though. On the contrary, they will keep the tank clean as well as double as a side order for the scorpion. So it's a win-win, I guess. I try to cover a lot of ground with the moss for a green overall aesthetic. It's just my preference. I also love Liverwort, which is not a moss, but very similar in growth pattern. Liverwort will, if it survives acclimation, carpet very nicely along the forest floor. I place it in random patches around the tank. Liverworts can sometimes seemingly die off quickly in a terrarium setting, but are also great at bouncing back if given the time. Starting to look a bit more natural, but the best is yet to come, of course. This is a Cryptanthus, aka an Earth Star. I've always loved these very variable plants. It's easy to see how it got its name, isn't it? I'm thinking that this could be a great third hide for the scorpion as well. Before we plant it, we need to clean the roots off real quick. And I mean real quick. That was quick. I make a hole in the substrate using my finger. Then I make sure all the roots are placed in the ground so they don't dry out. Under good lighting, the reds in this plant will spread all over it. Next up is Fittonia, and I'm using two different colors this time. Both the red and the white will go great with the Cryptanthus as well. Maybe I should work in fashion instead. I don't know. With these plants being a lot taller than the rest, they go in the back of the enclosure. This will allow for greater visibility and divide the enclosure into a more open section and a more bushy one as well. Remember that I said options are important? This also applies to the vegetation. I also try to mix the two color variants to avoid monotony in the visuals. I think that's important. Oh, I almost forgot. Time for the world famous halftime spray down. My next terrarium will have windshield wipers in the front. Subscribe if you think that's a great idea. I also want some trailing plants on the ground, and this Peperomia pepper spot is perfect. I will also use these tiny cuttings of creeping fig. I put a single Peperomia cutting trailing from the back and around one of the heights. I really think it adds a lot of texture to the build. The creeping fig will be placed more randomly. These are dead oak leaves, and they will be the primary food source of the cleanup crew that will make this enclosure bioactive. But first I need to cut it into tiny pieces. Adding whole leaves will make the sense of scale look way off. I spread it out all over the ground, especially in places that don't have any moss. The leaves help hold in humidity too. I make sure to add it wherever I think it will enhance the jungle look. The next step is very important, and that is to add a water bowl. I will use a plastic bottle cap as it's the perfect size. I'm filling it with tiny pebbles to remove the risk of the scorpion drowning. The bowl is very shallow, but the scorpion is also very small, so I don't want to risk it. After filling it with rocks, I add the water using a spray bottle. I place the water bowl in the back of the enclosure, as I don't want to have to see any plastic in my jungle. Now it's finally time for the first animals, the cleanup crew. And these aren't just any old cleanup crew, these are orange springtails. Springtails feed on mold and decaying matter, and they turn it into fertilizer for the plants. Look at this little gummy worm, how cute is that? I scoop some up with a teaspoon. And gently dump them into the enclosure. I make sure to take some close-ups for you all, as it's probably the last time we see more than one at a time. Looking at this close-up shot, I can see that there are actually two different species in here. I think the lighter ones might be pink springtails. Time for the main character, the apex predator, to enter its realm. Meet Klaus. You know, Klaus Meine, the singer of the Scorpions? Anyhow. Before letting Klaus disappear into his new jungle, I want to quickly demonstrate that even at this tiny size, they glow under a black light. This is however nothing that should be done too often, as it can cause stress for the animal if done in excess. Here you go, Klaus. Explore your new home. If you stay this long, thank you for watching. Like, comment and subscribe if you want to support my channel. I would really appreciate it.